Have you ever stopped to think that the events around us might be more than just coincidences? While the world moves forward at a frenetic pace, there are signs and happenings that seem to echo ancient prophecies. It seems counterintuitive, but the more technology advances, the closer we get to concepts written centuries ago. What's really happening behind the headlines? Why do so many transformations seem to point to something bigger? Now imagine, 2025 is the year when great changes are foretold. We're talking about a global movement involving everything from universal Bible translations to advancements in artificial intelligence and tensions in the Middle East. Can we ignore the fact that we're in the midst of such a symbolic scenario? While many get lost in their daily routines, there are those who pay attention to the signs, seeking to understand their meaning and how to prepare. If you think everything's fine and this is just more alarmist talk, it might be time to reconsider. These signs are not just warnings about the future but invitations to look beyond the obvious. In this content, you'll not only discover facts, you'll be challenged to connect the dots and reflect on what it all means for your life. Are you ready to dive into this journey and uncover the 5 prophecies that could change everything? There's something in the air. Can you feel it? It's as if the world is in a whirlwind of changes, increasingly rapid and intense. The video takes us to a scenario where these events go beyond daily headlines and enter the realm of the prophetic. A striking example of this is the recent global pact by the UN, which at first glance appears to be a solution to global problems. However, the perspective changes when we analyze its long-term impact. Could we be witnessing the beginning of something greater? Reflecting on this is not only fascinating but also essential. Think about global events, such as the economic and environmental crises that directly affect daily life. Now imagine how these same events can be understood in the light of a bigger plan. After all, humanity has been trying to interpret the signs around it since biblical times. Here, the question is not just what's happening, but why we're so immersed in this context. And speaking of which, it's curious how these signs lead us to reassess our priorities. They draw our attention to something we might be ignoring, a greater purpose. How about taking a moment today to observe these happenings from a different angle? Maybe, by looking beyond the surface, you'll start to see the contours of a broader panorama, one that connects directly to the essence of the next topics. Imagine living in a world where everyone has access to the same message, regardless of language or culture. That's the goal of a Christian project aiming to translate the Bible into all languages by 2025. It sounds ambitious, doesn't it? However, with technology advancing at a rapid pace, this goal is closer than ever. Think about today's automatic translation tools. They can accelerate work that used to take decades, connecting people from all corners of the planet to the same source of spiritual knowledge. But it doesn't stop there. While words reach new languages, conflicts in the Middle East intensify. Israel, long the center of attention, finds itself in a delicate position. Political and military alliances form a tense scenario that many believe is a prelude to greater biblical events. For those who wish to understand this dynamic better, it's worth following not only international news but also delving into historical texts that contextualize this emblematic region. Finally, we arrive at the New World Order, an idea that evokes both hope and fear. With the rise of digital currencies, we are entering uncharted territory. Have you ever thought about living in a world without physical money? It sounds practical, but it also raises important questions about privacy and control. How about starting to learn about how cryptocurrencies work? Could be a good way to understand what's coming and, who knows, even prepare for it. Artificial intelligence, AI, is no longer the stuff of science fiction. It's shaping the world we live in. Think about how virtual assistants, recommendation algorithms, and surveillance systems already influence our choices and behaviors. Studies indicate that by 2025, over 80% of companies will use AI in their operations, increasing efficiency but also raising concerns about privacy and control. Imagine a camera capable of recognizing your face in a crowd and even determining what you're thinking or feeling. Futuristic? Not so much, it's already happening. These advances bring an intriguing paradox. On the one hand, they offer practical solutions and resource optimization. On the other, they might signal the beginning of a global control system something very close to prophecies described in biblical texts. After all, the more connected we are, the more vulnerable we become. Have you ever thought about how your life would change if every financial or social decision were monitored? It's something to think about. What's most curious is how AI reflects who we are as a society. There's a rise in human interactions being replaced by machines, as seen in countries adopting robots for interpersonal relationships. This might seem fascinating, but it also raises the question: are we losing our ability to love and connect with one another? It's worth reflecting on how to balance the adoption of new technologies with values essential to our humanity. Israel is undoubtedly a central point on the global chessboard. Small in size but immense in importance, the country is often the epicenter of tensions and international alliances. It's no wonder that biblical prophecies place it as the stage for the most important events of the future. With every conflict or decision made within its borders, the world's attention turns there. What few realize is that each of these events is directly linked to something bigger, like pieces of a puzzle still being assembled. Furthermore, we can't ignore the growing movement of economic and cultural isolation Israel faces. The BDS, boycott, divestment, and sanctions movement is gaining strength, pressuring companies and institutions to cut ties with the country. For those following the backstage of international politics, this is more than just a social movement. It's part of a more complex dynamic rooted in ancient rivalries and prophecies about Jerusalem. This diplomatic siege seems to be a harbinger of even tougher times. However, it's fascinating how Israel, even in the face of so many adversities, continues to thrive and innovate. From technological advances to scientific discoveries, the country seems determined to defy all odds. This resilience serves as a reminder that even under pressure, there's always room for growth and overcoming. Is this strength merely the result of human determination, or is there something deeper guiding its destiny? Amidst all the changes, conflicts, and challenges, it's natural to feel a mix of anxiety and expectation. However, there's a message that transcends the ages. The final victory doesn't belong to chaos but to peace. The Bible reminds us, time and again, that even in times of trial, there's a greater promise of renewal and justice. Imagine a world where tears are wiped away and pain is replaced with joy. It's not just a distant dream but a reminder that there's purpose amid difficulties. Looking to the future, this purpose might be what sustains us. With every alarming headline or unexpected event, there's an opportunity to connect with something greater. For instance, instead of just consuming information, how about using it as an invitation to reflect and prepare spiritually? Sometimes, simple actions, like a moment of prayer or a meaningful conversation, can make all the difference. This perspective helps us see challenges as steps toward something greater. It's not about ignoring what's wrong, but finding strength and hope amid the chaos. Every day, we have the chance to make choices that reflect a heart focused on good. And these choices, however small, echo toward something eternal. Are you ready to embrace this calling and discover what's next? Now that you've uncovered these 5 prophecies, it's impossible not to feel the weight and urgency of what's to come, isn't it? At the same time, it's a powerful call to act, reflect, and connect with something greater. What are you doing today to prepare for these changes? How can these revelations transform how you live, plan, and even believe in the future? Take a moment and think. Are you just reacting to events? Or are you actively seeking to understand the purpose behind them? Maybe it's time to adjust your sails and redirect your ship toward a more solid and meaningful course. Don't let the prophecies be just words. Turn them into actions. Dedicate time to reflection. Read more about these topics, and share what you've learned with those you love. And of course, if you want to continue exploring these subjects, subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications. Here, you'll always find knowledge, inspiration, and motivation to move forward with purpose. Let's embark on this journey together,